Welcome to this video. Sit down. Don't turn away. This is gonna be a top 11 episode list of My Little Pony. I picked these episodes out by hand, and hopefully this will show you kind of why I like the show, not whatever. This episode in particular, I enjoyed it a lot in the sense of I like the backstory of it, but it's still this very. It followed these three characters which I hated. I don't remember their names, but I just fucking hate them. But so they're trying to find their own little talents and all that. And they ask the other characters how they got their talents and all that, and then they all explain how they got them. And that is fun to me. I like hearing backstories like that. It's very interesting to listen to. I feel like personally, and that's really what I like about this episode in that sense of background, history, and story. And it had a really good sense of writing, and there's some stuff that kind of made me laugh. The next episode is season 2, episode 4, Luna Eclipsed, and this one is a Halloween episode, and I like Halloween episodes in most shows, so I kind of liked it on that level. But this brings back a character from season 1 that I thought was really the most unused character. Like, I really wish that they used this character much more. Her name is obviously Princess Luna, and in the first season, which I'll get to later, she was pretty much the main villain. And this one, she finally, became a good guy again, and the way she talks is like in third person, yells at people a lot, and I think that to me is funny because she was ignorant to how times have changed, and no one talks like Shakespeare anymore. And I think that is kind of funny that these characters are just being yelled at with this very ominous voice, which is like, "Thou art scared of me? How thou dares!" And they're just like, "What the fuck is she talking about?" And also, this holiday is pretty much honoring the fear that they got from Nightmare Moon when she was the bad guy, and she didn't. And she was like, "Well, I'm good," and she didn't understand that they were scared of her, and she just had this very scary, kind of ominous entrance, threatening entrance, and I just thought that was just kind of funny that she couldn't wrap her mind around that. So yeah, that's really what I like about that episode. It's a very basic story, but it was very fun nonetheless to watch. There were some nice little gags, like Spike was dressed up as like a dragon, which I think is as funny as a dragon within a dragon, so just with that for a while. Next episode is season 1, episode 2, which is season 1, episode 2, which is really part of the beginning of the series, and it aired at the same time as episode 1, so I might as well release it as a movie, but whatever. I like this episode regardless because, again, it has one of my favorite characters, Princess Luna, as the main villain, and it kind of strengthens the bonds within the main characters because obviously they're trying to establish that these are the main characters naturally. But yeah, I enjoyed it on that level of story and quest and adventure, and I just wish there was more My Little Pony episodes that had a sense of adventure. It's in the fucking theme song, for fuck's sake, but other than that, I still enjoyed it. It was still a good episode. I still enjoyed the series because it's very entertaining kind of level to it. It's not Shakespeare by any means, but it's just fun to watch, and that's really all these episodes are. The next episode is Party of One. If I had my phone, I would fast forward to the best parts of this episode. What I really liked about this episode is it follows this one character that loves throwing parties, and eventually no one wants to go to her parties for whatever reason, and she assumes that they don't want to go to her parties because they don't want to be friends anymore. So she slowly starts freaking out and breaking down mentally to the point where she's talking to a pile of rocks, flour, like just inanimate objects. That would be as me talking about a pencil. I mean, it's that kind of craziness, and that's really what I like about it. And this show, like, there's another episode that I'll talk to later that does this, but when they draw like these characters going insane, they don't go like the half step where it's like, okay, well, they're gonna be a little bit stressed, but just not too stressed. And this one is just like, okay, well, let's draw them like they're homicidal maniacs, and that to me is funny. Like, she was literally like losing her mind. Like, she came across as a schizophrenic, homicidal maniac, which I thought was funny. To me, it's funny that a kid's show has a character that, you know, went to that extreme, and that to me is funny. It's that kind of humor that I connect with. Next episode is The Secret of My Access. It is a Spike themed episode. It shows Spike maturing into a dragon, and really has one of my favorite jokes where one of the characters asks them, "Well, don't you get presents on your birthday or whatever?" And he's just like, "Yeah, I get one. And it's a book." And it's like, that to me is funny. He gets more depressed as Spike's explaining the presents he usually gets, and he's like, "Only get one present from Twilight, a book." And it's just like, oh, that sucks. And that to me is just kind of funny. That kind of humor, and that it's just a small little gag that I chuckle at. I mean, it's not really, you know, roll on the floor laughing kind of funny. It's just, that's funny. But yeah, I mean, I mainly like it because it shows them just running amok in a fucking village. That to me is funny. And that's really what I like about Powerpuff Girls as well, is because it's just these little girls running amok. So that's really what I liked about this episode, was just this stupid character doing stupid things and then getting over it. The next episode is a season 3 episode called Wonderbolt Academy, or whatever. And this one I really appreciate for what it does, in the sense of it doesn't, you know, take the static route where most kids shows will have the characters stay in the same kind of archetypical kind of story. And it's similar with Pokemon. It's similar with like Ed and Eddie, Donnie Bravo, where they just stay the same. They never really go anywhere. And this one actually has this character wanting to be a Wonderbolt and is actually doing something to get to that goal. That to me is just a lot of fun, and I really like that idea where they finally are introducing this character to do something that she's been wanting to do since season 1. So that's really what I like about this episode, is that it had this, you know, not as static kind of role where they could have easily just spent the entire series of her just wanting to be it but never accomplishing it, but this time she's actually a step closer to accomplishing it. So that to me is fun. That's really what I liked about this episode in particular, is that it actually shows her growing as a character, and that's Rainbow Dash that's growing, not any other character. The next episode is Lesson 0. Just like I said with Part 1, they really went insane. And this one I really appreciated on a writing level, in the sense of, when I watched it the first time, I literally just sat there and was like, oh, they just had this episode just to get themselves out of the corner of, we gotta come up with a message, because that was the whole point of season 1, that each episode would have a friendship lesson to teach, and, you know, blah blah blah. And this episode, it was just made to get them out of that rut, because you can only imagine how far you could go with that, you know, concept. So this is a nice way to get themselves out of that little corner and say, like, well, we could write, you know, we could make friendship lesson episodes every so often. This time, we won't do that. That's really what I like. Is it's not this kind of, okay, well, I wonder what they can learn next episode. Is now it's a little more open. But I also like it mainly because the main character just snaps in this fucking episode. She goes insane because she realized she didn't write a letter to the princess about what she learned about friendship, and she starts half-assing a lesson, which I think is just kind of funny and relatable to most kids. But it also teaches it kind of a message that I kind of didn't agree with, of, well, don't threat about an assignment. If you miss one assignment, it's okay. Once you get older, that doesn't happen. You can't miss one assignment or you're fucked. But either way, I just like this episode on a writing level of them actually trying to, you know, get themselves out of a little corner, and that's how they animated the main character just going insane. And they have nice little gags as well along with this episode that I kind of, you know, laughed at. But that's really what I liked about this episode in particular. Number 4 is... Yes, am I number 4? Yeah, number 4 is Season 3, Episode 10. This episode brings back fan favorite Discord, And a lot of people liked this episode, a lot of fans liked it a lot, but I liked it on personally because they brought that character back, as most fans are. But this is a lot of fun, and when I watched it, I could sense immediately that a lot of the writers had a lot of fun, and even the animators had fun drawing it, because it was like, okay, well, this character is really, chaotic and inconsistent at times. Let's just, do whatever. Now, it wasn't as chaotic or insane as the episode that Discord originated from, but it was still kind of fun to watch it. It was still like, oh, this is cool, but the one thing I did not like about it was it followed a very basic story that SpongeBob used. They tried to reform Discord into a good guy instead of a villain. And I kind of, whatever, but I just kind of liked him as a villain. I don't think he needed to be changed, and I just thought that the overall story arc was too similar. But overall, it was just a lot of fun watching it, and I really enjoyed the villain. Fun fact, this guy is voiced by the guy in Breaking Bad of Jane's father, and he was, I believe, on Star Trek as well. Just saying. Number 3 is episode 5. Magic Duel. This one, they bring back in a season 1 character that was kind of shunned, and it's kind of, because like she was just this arrogant, pretentious character in season 1 that Twilight kind of put her in her place. And then she wanted to get revenge for, that humiliation, and instead of just getting a simple, making a simple point, she wanted her to be banished from her hometown, which I thought was kind of funny, and she could have easily just been the main villain, and this episode could have been a two-parter, I feel like, but, overall, I enjoyed this episode for what it was. I liked the story. It was a little dark. There was some fan service done in it, like, they finally made the term alicorn, which a lot of fans coined, a legit term. Because I think before they had another name, but it didn't work as well as alicorn did, and it didn't stick as well. So they decided to go with the fan coined term. But yeah, I just like this episode just because of that simple story. Number 2 is season 2, episode 2, where Discord started from. This is the first episode he started, and well, technically it's the first, whatever. What I like about this episode is this, again, I like the main villain, Discord, and that's really the main reason why I like him. I like this episode, but also he was able to make all the characters hate each other, and it was this idea of, what if this character hates this character, or if they just, all become assholes, and that to me is just funny, like, one then becomes a liar, the other one becomes a hoarder, the other one becomes a brute, the other one becomes a grump, and that is just kind of funny to me. And the other one's just like, whatever. And then the other one just becomes a deserter, and I have this thing that's kind of funny, that these characters have these kind of attitudes to them, and I don't know, and I also enjoyed the designs of the chaotic Ponyville that they drew. Like, they had, like, dirt, soap roads, buildings are now flat cardboard cutouts, and there's raining chocolate milk. There's a scene where Discord is drinking a glass of chocolate milk, but drinks the glass, then throws away the chocolate milk part, and that explodes, which is kind of funny. But yeah, overall, it's just, there were some designs I liked about this episode, and I liked the story of it. I thought it worked a lot. But number 1, the most controversial episode you could find in My Little Pony. You could go to a My Little Pony message board and bring this episode up, and you will have a very heated debate. A lot of people hated this episode for many reasons, but what I loved about it, and really what made it number 1 for me, was really the idea it presented. It wasn't a stupid idea that was like, oh, and it actually was able to stand alone by itself. It would have stood better as a 2-parter, but I think as a 1 episode, it was good for what it was. To talk about, for instance, the story of it was Twilight casted a spell that rearranged her friend's talents and all that. So, like, for instance, the one that does fashion is now doing the weather. The one that's a farmer is doing fashion. The one that usually makes people laugh is doing farming, and you can see where this is heading. And that to me is just kind of funny and in a depressing kind of way, because this show has a very happy, uplifting tone. It's like, oh yeah, and this one is just a very depressing story almost. And You know, I like the second season finale as well, but that was just a very basic story that I saw coming a mile away. It was like, oh, she's not the real character. Whatever. I didn't really like the second season finale, but this I liked it a lot because of the concept of it and the ideas behind it. Where people really start drawing the line of what they didn't like was they had a lot of music numbers in here to make up for the lack of a two-parter, and I don't think that gets in the way. I mean, I'm not a big fan of musicals either, but I don't despise them. And even as a musical, the music is actually, you know, fun to listen to and it's really catchy. The song that's coming up is really one of my favorites of the episode. But other than that, I mean, they didn't like the musicals, but they also didn't like the main reason why a lot of people hated it was it ended with Twilight becoming a princess and an alicorn, and a lot of people debated saying this is stupid, this was just to sell toys and all this stuff, and that's really what My Little Pony was about to begin with, was to sell toys, so I didn't really put it past Hasbro to do that, to make that decision. But I mean, where I stick with that is I'm indifferent about it. I mean, I feel like it was shoehorned in this episode. I don't think it, you know, if they really wanted to have that ending there, they could have made this episode a two-parter to make that stronger, but the idea of it, I kind of liked it in the sense of it's not, the show isn't going the static route where Twilight will be a perpetual student and she'll never become anything, and she'll just keep learning things, and it's nice to see a kids show you know, stepping out that routine. It's like, okay, well now she's gonna actually move on and she's gonna go somewhere with her studies, and she's not just gonna be just a student anymore. She'll be something else, something better, and that's really what I liked about this episode, was this big departure of that kind of routine. So yeah, I mean, I like this episode. I really think it was almost I can see the hatred for it, but I don't think it's the worst season finale. I think that first season had the worst finale. If you look at it, it had nothing to do and nothing going on. It was just a basic idea of a finale for a kids show. And this one is actually, okay, let's introduce something different and have them wait for season 4. And I think that is great. And that's really what I like about this episode, was this idea. And again, you'll see these characters are really fucking depressed, and that's what I like. So yeah, thanks for watching. I've been trying to do this video for some time and decided to best sum it up in a top 11 countdown. So that's it. Thanks for watching.